The Rocket League Championship Series, otherwise known as the RLCS, is one of the most popular esports competitions in the world and has produced some big names in the gaming community like Rizzo, Turbo Pulsar, Squishy and many more. However, with competition constantly evolving, new players are beginning to etch their way into Rocket League history, with one of these players being ApparentlyJack, who has seen incredible success since beginning his pro journey in 2020. Today, we are going to be looking at the story of ApparentlyJack. There is not a lot of information on Jack's life growing up. However, he has mentioned in a recent podcast that he started playing Rocket League with a few of his friends and very quickly climbed up the ranks. In 2019, he was ranked number 1 on PlayStation for ones and 10th globally. What made this even more impressive is that Jack was also competing in tennis, where at the time he aspired to become a professional tennis player. However, a mixture of injuries and, COVID led him to the decision to play Rocket League full time. At the time, it was clear Jack's mentality was that of a pro player.
And I grinded for, I think, 125 hours plus 2 weeks consistently for 6 months. And I peaked at about 135 hours in that time. I basically was doing 5 hours of tryouts a day for teams and scrims. So I was basically playing more than anyone else because I wanted it more and I knew I had to catch up.
Jack first played for Stormtroopers alongside Polar and Dead Monster, where they had success in smaller tournaments, but were unable to translate this into the RLCS qualifiers, where they finished between 13th and 16th in their best run. A few months later, he transferred to Dignitas, where fans began to see what the Brit was made of. Jack's standout performance came at the full EU Regional BMW Open Final, quite a tongue twister there, where Dignitas swept a really strong Vitality side, who at the time was still around the peak of their power. In September of 2022, Jack and Joreus were released from the team and Scrub Killer left, as Dignitas completely changed their roster. Now, at the time, this would have been disappointing for ApparentlyJack. However, little did he know his next move would be one that took the Rocket League community by storm. Jack would be picked up by Stormtroopers once again, which lasted about 4 days, and then the team was acquired by none other than Gen.G Mobile One Racing. The 2 other players joining Gen.G were Chronic and Nolly. Chronic was seen as the newcomer for many RLCS fans, as he had less experience than his teammates and is the youngest player on the team. Before joining Gen.G, Chronic's most notable achievements were winning multiple B-tier tournaments. It was clear he possessed great talent, and this was his chance to break through and show the world what he was made of. Nolly had played for multiple big teams such as Guild and the current number 1 ranked team in Europe, Carmine Corp, where he was relatively successful. In their first full open, the team surprised many people, including themselves, as they reached the final but unfortunately lost to FaZe Clan. The full cup arrived a few weeks later, and they once again proved that they were one of the top teams in the division, entering their second final. This game was back and forth, but Gen.G were unable to win once again. After 2 second places in a row, it was time for the team to finally prove they can win, which they did in spectacular fashion, sweeping the team that previously beat them in FaZe Clan. This momentum would carry through to the RLCS full split major, where Gen.G made their way all the way to the final once again. However, the team they would face, Moist Esports, were on a roll, knocking out one of the tournament favourites, Carmine Corp. It all came down to the final for Rocket League Gold, Moist Esports versus Gen.G Mobile One Racing. Moist took game 1, but Gen.G bounced back in game 2 to level the score. Moist was surprised by an overtime kickoff which was scored by ApparentlyJack. A timeout from Moist killed Gen G's momentum, which tied the game once again. Gen G dominated the 5th match and were only one game away from being named RLCS Full Major Champions. This was it, everything Jack had worked for. From leaving his dream of becoming a professional tennis player all those years ago to now fulfilling a different dream that he will remember forever. This was it. With Nolly and Chronic by his side, it was now or never. The game was level, but with only a few seconds left on the clock, this happened. They had done it. Gen G were crowned champions.